All right, we got another big fight of the night, of course, which is the main event on the evening. Is a Pitbull Cruz versus Lamont the Reaper Roach. This fight here is super intriguing because, of course, we know Lamont Roach has the early defeat in his career to Jamel Herring for his first chance at a world title opportunity. However, since then, he's came back, he's performed, he hasn't smelt defeat since, losing his first title opportunity. However, he's coming off of his biggest high of all in a draw against Tank Davis, which a lot of people say is a controversial outcome because they felt that Lamont won the fight for many different reasons, as well as, the biggest reason that was the hot topic of that fight was Tank taking a knee, and I believe it was the 8th round. However, we have moved on past that. He's moved up yet another weight division to 140 to face Isak Pitbull Cruz for the WBC interim title. I believe the winner will have to fight Subriel Matias, or will be the mandatory for Subriel Matias. However, Lamont still does have his strap at 130. Of course, he's going to be alive and well in that 135 mix as well. So this can determine a lot for his future. However, of course, you got to step in that square circle to figure out who the winner of this fight is going to be. And I honestly think this is a very good fight. Lamont came in shredded on the scales, first time at this weight class. I expect him to have a little more pop. He doesn't have a lot of knockouts. On the other hand of that, Pitbull is a one-way from start to finish. He's going to apply a lot of pressure, hit you with a lot of looping shots. So I think that this fight here is going to be fan-friendly. However, for me personally, it's tough to choose because you don't really know if Lamont Roach will consistently stay at this level. He's a good fighter. He has good footwork, a good jab. He showed me he could fight in the inside against one of the biggest punchers in Tank Davis's last fight and in or around their weight division. So he's going to have a lot of confidence off of that. However, Pitbull and Tank are completely different fighters, obviously. They have fought before. I think that Roach is going to try to come out and prove a point in this fight to make a statement that he beat Pitbull more convincingly than Tank Davis did. And honestly, I think he's going to go out and look for the stoppage. Will he get it? Only time will tell. We'll find out tomorrow night. But I do think this is a good fight. Now, a couple things that's going to be interesting. How will Lamont approach this? I think he can fight from the inside. I think he can fight from the outside. He has the better feet. He has the better jab. He has the better skill. We know skills pays the bill. But them times when he decides he wants to stand and bang and get in these firefights against a fighter like Isak Pitbull Cruz, although we've seen him do it against Tank Davis, again, two different types of fighters, will he be able to withstand that at that point? Because I look at Pitbull as a small 140. However, he's built in, stocky, big shoulders, so his style kind of carried to that weight division pretty well. But we've seen when he fought Rayo Venezuela, he boxed him, he used his feet, he picked and chose his spots, and he won that fight easy because Pitbull's style just couldn't catch up to the feet. So I think Lamont can go in there and win this by pointing his way. But when he gets in them firefights, he gets in them exchanges, he gets caught a couple times. How will he respond? Will that change his game plan within the fight? It's a lot to be unraveled in this fight because wouldn't completely go against Lamont Roach being able to frustrate Pitbull Cruz and eventually hurting him or stopping him as well. Although when you look at his record, he doesn't have a lot of knockouts. As we see in, for example, the Bud Crawford fight, he moved up to 168. That was probably the best and the strongest he's looked. But you know why? He didn't have to cut as much weight. A lot of these guys nowadays cut an enormous amount of weight to fight in these smaller divisions. And as they get more natural into their true weight divisions, you see them become better fighters. So even though we already look at them as good or great fighters, the more comfortable they get, the less weight they got to cut, the more power they got, as long as they can keep their speed as they move up, which most do, especially at this point, like a little 5-pound jump, you'll be good to go. So I think this fight is definitely going to be fan friendly. I'm kind of like 50 here. Like it's telling me Lamont Roach skills pays the bills, but Pitbull had a little different edge with him at the thing. Lamont Roach keeps doing the belt, like he just going to put belt to ass on him. And I don't know if it's a good idea. Like, it's great to have that confidence, but is he kind of overlooking Pitbull because of his performance a couple months back against Tank Davis? Or is Pitbull coming in with a little more fire and edge than he usually does? Because in the face-off, in the final weigh-in, he went nose to nose with Lamont Roach, and you really don't see that out of Pitbull a whole lot. He normally is pretty respectful all the way up, throughout the build-up of the fight. But that final weigh-in, he put nose to nose. He was real intense. You could tell, like, he was flexing so hard on the scales. His arms were shaking. Like, he had it. And some would say that could be nerves. He's nervous. That's nervous energy. However, his style doesn't ever really put me in a position to make me feel like he's nervous because he knows what he brings to the ring. Him and Angel Fierro's fight was fireworks. I still think that's one of the Fight of the Year candidates. I don't know if y'all got to see that. If y'all didn't, y'all should definitely go check that out. That was one hell of a fight. I'm mad the rematch didn't happen because Fierro had to pull out at the last minute. So that fight that Isak Pitbull Crew has last didn't live up to the hype because we were all expecting that Fierro. Of course, Lamont Roach coming off the draw to Tank Davis, where he didn't get that rematch, and he's moving up now another division to fight, like I said earlier in the video, for the WBC interim title at 140. The winner of this fight will be the mandatory to fight the winner of Sabril Matias and Dalton Smith. So, big opportunities. Pitbull has already been a champion at 140 by beating Rolly Romero. Of course, he then lost to Dario Venezuela, and he currently holds the interim title for the WBC. So this is a big-time fight, big-time stakes. Now, with all that being said, I'm going to make my pick just because. I'm going to lean Lamont Roach in this one. Like I said, I think he can fight on the inside in this one responsibly. Obviously, from the outside at distance, he has all the goods there because Pitbull don't really have an answer for that with his one style. And then the mid-range, I think Lamont wins that as well. So I think from wherever they take this fight, however it goes, as long as Lamont doesn't get caught with a clean shot to get hurt or put down at any point, I think he'll win this fight. However, it's a super interesting fight. And if Isak Pitbull Cruz won this fight, I would not for any second be surprised. Because 2 fights ago, I believe it was, Lamont Roach fought. Let me pull this up here 1 second. But Lamont Roach fought, and it was a fight that was very controversial against Hector Luis Garcia, right? Which was another Tank opponent. At the 130-pound division, he was fighting on Pro Box TV. And it was a good fight. He ended up dropping Hector late, and that essentially won him the fight. So you never really know what to get. Again, I've talked about him losing early in his first title or world championship opportunity to Herring. Herring's a good fighter. He's a world champion. You got to respect that. But then when you think about the Hector Garcia fight, that was a good fight. And do you consider Hector Garcia an elite guy? No, not really. He's decent. You know what I mean? Tank, an elite guy. He gave Tank his best fight to date. As we've seen, it was a draw. And a lot of people thought he won that fight, but now he's moving up another weight division against a pure pressure fighter. So this fight can damn sure go either way. But like I said, I'm going to lean Lamont. I would not be surprised if Pitbull wins this. But I definitely think that fight fans will win on the night for this one. So like I said, man, make sure y'all tune into this fight card. It's going to be good from start to finish. I think the main event on the prelim section of it is Frank Martin versus Bartholomew. His first fight back. He moved up from 135 to 140. His last fight was about 1.5 years ago, coming off the knockout loss to Tank. So we'll see how he bounces back. He called for a 6th or 7th round stoppage. So it's a good weekend of fights. So make sure y'all tune in.